Hello, and welcome to the second episode of Discourse in Magic. This is our first official interview. We are very excited to be here with an amazing guest who's been making waves in the online world. You may have seen him fool Penn and Teller or get out of speeding tickets with his magic, and that is exactly what we're here to talk about. How to go viral and the recipe for success in the online magic world. We're also going to have some sneak peeks about his upcoming projects and show ideas. And on that note, let's jump right in with our guest, Steven Brundage, and let's get discoursing. Hello, and welcome to Discourse in Magic. My name is Tyler Williams. I'm here with my partner, Jonah Babbins.
Hello.
And we are thrilled to have our special guest, Steven Brundage, on with us.
Hey guys, thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for being
very
here.
Happy to have you.
Before we get into today's topic of virality, let's start with you, because that's, the first step always. And let's just do it with a very general, how did you start getting into magic? How did it find you?
I always liked it as a little kid, so I would see magicians performing, and I always was drawn to it. And then my mom got me a book from Barnes and Nobles, and I started learning the basic tricks. And I would, my family, they encouraged me, but I was never really good until I started watching the David Blaine specials. And I saw David perform, and I was like, how does he do that? And that's why I had to learn how he did it. So I started learning the sleight of hand stuff. And then I would say I still sucked for a lot of years after that, just because I did it as a hobby. And then when I started doing paid shows, when I had to start getting good quick. So I'm not sure if I'm good yet, but I'm trying to get there.
Well, I think so. That's actually, a lot of people David Blaine was the catalyst for.
Yeah,
so
right.
It's interesting, and we'll get into it in a sec.
And who knows who you're the catalyst for now.
Well, that was exactly what I was going to say. People who are, when we were young and we would watch, David Blaine on TV, and even now you can see magicians that take inspiration from Chris Angel. How much more is that going to be with the internet and with people come up to me and they say, have you seen Fool Us? First of all, of course, but that's awesome, that people that's going to bring more people into magic. So I'm excited that you got into magic through something that was in the public eye.
Yeah, I've had kids who wrote and they're like, yeah, I started doing magic after I saw your episode, your performance, and I'm like, that's a little bit crazy, it's kind of strange, but yeah.
That's awesome. That must be really awesome.
That's one of the best feelings, I think, is being someone's magic idol. We get to be camp counselors every year, and it's super cool being thinking, we're just doing the stuff that we practice in our bedrooms, and to someone else, it's pure gold. So,
right.
Yeah, everyone's got to start somewhere.
That's really cool. Do you remember what that first book was?
It was Nicholas Einhorn's Encyclopedia of Magic.
Sick.
Nice.
Awesome.
And I think I read other books besides that, but that was the one book that I really, really learned every trick in that book.
Yeah, that was the one that got you in. And then when did you decide that you should shift into the world of doing it, full time and doing it for paid gigs?
So I never really had a defining moment. It was kind of I started street. So this is during college, I had no direction. I hated school, and I started.
Totally
busking.
resonate with you,
Right? Yeah. So I started busking, street performing, and I made some money when I first started. More money than I ever made in my entire life that first season. And then each year I did a little bit better. And then I think 2 years into it, I was like, okay, this is going pretty well. And then by the third year, I didn't say I was going to be a full-time magician. I said I'm going to go with the flow with it. And I said that for a few months, and it was working out fine. And then everything went viral, and I'm going with the flow.
Yeah, well, that's a pretty good motto. And how long ago was that?
I would say I've been full-time for about 2.5 years now. 2 years. I mean, I've done it as a full-time income for the past 4 years, but the last 2 years I've been able to do decent for myself.
Wow. It's sort of you're comfortable where you are.
Yeah.
Cool.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I was comfortable 3 years ago, but I there were some months where I couldn't pay rent because when you're first starting, you have no clients. There's no money coming in. You have to build it up over time.
Right. Nobody knows your
that
name
feeling.
Yet, right?
Yeah.
So as someone who was started out as a busker and now is getting solid paying gigs and is comfortably living, how do you think the internet specifically relating to the viral nature of online media, how do you think that has impacted your magic?
It's really interesting because you see so many Facebook and YouTube magicians nowadays, and I think there's two sides of it. I think it's great. And as far as career wise, having just media in general is just amazing. Like you get some of the magicians like Justin Flom, who posts YouTube videos and then goes on Ellen and does whatever. Yeah. And just being found is just it's like that definitely now. I mean, before it just changed the way the industry. And I was in the industry before, so I don't know exactly how it worked before. But I just know with the internet, it's so big, it's a huge difference.
Yeah, but I mean,
everything.
I feel like there's two schools of thought with the internet in terms of it being a positive thing. There's the people that sort of tackle magic from the internet perspective, maybe like people who do magic on Instagram or do magic, like that's like common people doing flourishes on Instagram and stuff like that. And I don't know if they have done magic in the real world. And then there's the school of thought of what I think you did, which is actually getting good at magic and then using, the online world to start, bringing in more information for what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think people who do like the tricks on Instagram, I think it's fine. I think it's whatever they do, it's fun, it's creative, it's different. Mm-hmm. I think if you want to make a good living doing magic, it helps to be able to perform in front of people. And I think being well rounded is probably the most important thing.
In what sense do you mean? As a personality-wise, or just with what you're producing?
Well, just magic, being a full-time magician in general, just well-rounded in the business sense, and being a good magician, having a good personality, instead of just focusing on the sleight of hand for cameras.
Well, that's amazing that you say that, because that's sort of exactly what the point of the whole podcast is, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we're into this to say, like, the moves are one part of it, but at the end of the day, the magic itself is really binary. You either fool them or you don't. Mm-hmm. And it's the rest of it that makes you a hireable or talented or good or fun or interesting performer.
Yeah. And
even with the fool part, like there are some people you just won't fool. Like some people will catch on to your stuff, and at that point you have to be entertaining and hope they like you.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I was gonna just say. Is like even going beyond fooling them or not, it's binary in terms of like they're gonna enjoy your presence in their life or they're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you want to be someone that they like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the reason why we thought of virality and we thought of you, we put the two together, is because there were three things that you just exploded on in the internet in the last, whatever it is, like 2 years or 3 years, which is the video of the police pulling you over, which is absolutely hilarious, the Penn and Teller Fool-S video, and this Cube 3 product, which is absolutely amazing, and I picked one up from you at the Browser Bash, and I've been toying with it. I already told you because I was excited about it, but I got my time down to 45 seconds, and I'm practicing all the fun stuff. So you got three things that are sweeping the internet, and in a very short time. So how'd you do it? What's the...
Well, with Cube 3, I actually filmed that way before even the cop video and Penn and Teller. Like, I filmed that almost 2 years ago now. But it just was delayed and delayed month after month. And I'm kind of happy just because that gave other stuff, So that was fun just because, I thought it'd be a fun release. I don't regret it, but, it's one of the things, I'm really happy it was released. We've sold over 6,000 of them. It's done fantastic. It's a good way to get out there to other magicians. I've done conventions and stuff.
Yeah.
Now other people are doing that routine, which I think is cool. But yeah.
Yeah, it's a really cool routine, and even so, Rubik's Cube magic isn't common, and with something uncommon, you brought it back, and with a lot of new things.
There's a lot of kids doing it. It's weird to see when you see people on Instagram doing your routine. You're like, it's very strange.
Yeah, exactly the way that you're saying exactly the words that you say. That's gotta be strange. So what's your tip for getting lots of views on a video? Was it intentional getting this cop video up, or did you intentionally get pulled over? What's the story? How did
No, so that was I'll tell you. So even before the cop video, I had some goals where I was like, 5 years from now, as a magician, I was making an okay living. I could pay rent, I could afford food. And I was like, 5 years from now, I want to have clients pay for me to fly somewhere and do a show. And I have these lofty goals. And I was like, 5 years, I'll do some of that stuff. I'll charge more, etc. And the cop video jump started everything. So I achieved Like, most of the goals that I set, I achieved them within months after I set them.
Awesome.
But it wasn't my like Justin Flom planned his videos. Yeah. But he worked insane amount of editing, time, practice, like the amount of effort put into that. That's one way to achieve it.
Is so above anything you're seeing.
Me, I had a moment, and I realized it was a once in a lifetime moment. So I took advantage of it, and then I just spun it for everything it was worth.
Wow.
So I did it the easy cop out way. Like
that was pretty good. Well, was it like your iPhone camera or something?
Yeah, so I'll tell you the backstory of the cop video. So I was doing a show in New York City, a corporate holiday party, December 4th or something. And when I was driving back home, I drive 2 hours and 2.5 hours, and 2 minutes from my house, I get pulled over doing 42 and a 30 speeding. And the cops see like Rubik's cubes and decks of cards, and like, "Are you a poker player?" And I was like, "No, I'm a magician." And this is after they checked all my license to make sure it was good. I think my license was suspended at the time, but it wasn't in the system, so I'm really happy about that.
Fortunate.
All right, and then they're like, "Oh, can you do a trick for us?" And the moment that they asked that, I was kind of like, This has never happened to me before. I was thinking in my head. So I looked over and I asked them. I was like, "Can I record this?" I asked them nicely. They said yes. So I was about to do magic in the car, but I thought it would be a better angle if I stepped out of the car and performed with me standing up, because I could do the behind the back thing then.
That must have also been really challenging. You sitting there in the car and be like, "Pick a card, like out the window."
Yeah, and you could do that, but I thought it'd be even cooler to step out. So I stepped out.
You're 100% right. Totally. Drive-through magic's probably not that good.
And then I asked them. There were two officers. I gave one of them my phone. And I said, "Can you please record?" I told the other one to step to the side for the lighting. And I did magic for him.
Seems like you did a pretty good job making that that picture. You got the lighting, you got the cameraman.
It's crazy because the moment that video was taken, I called my girlfriend and I was like, "I have a viral video," and I was like so happy. I like the moment I was like, and she's like, "Steve, you're being stupid," and I was like, "No, if the lighting is good, this video is," and it wasn't anything I did. It was just a situation that I was actually speeding. I was breaking the law, and the reactions of the cops is what sells it. Because I've done magic for cops before and gotten out of like a license plate light being out, but they were like,
"How many times have you done this?"
Right, I did it.
What is your count? What is your getting out of trouble with magic count?
Oh, goodness, too. I mean, I got, I don't know. I do it all, but I got pulled over maybe a year later, and I did magic for the cops, and, I stepped out of the car, same thing. But the reaction for these cops was like, "What do you do with that? That's cool." And just sent me on my way. And it was for a license plate light, so there wasn't a story. But their reaction of the cops saying, like, "Holy shit." And, like, when you hear a cop say that, you're like, "What?" And then the fact that they're giggling and the fact that I was speeding, they let me go. So I kind of spun it. When I posted a magician gets out a speeding ticket, they really decided to let me go before I even did the magic. But I'm not going to post that on YouTube,
Yeah.
So I knew the video. I mean, I thought it was going to go viral, and then once I posted it online, it kind of took care of itself, of people sharing, blog after blog, BuzzFeed, Huffington Post, every major news, daily news, every place covered it for the most part, Yahoo News, etc.
Wow. So what's your background to be able to understand what a viral video is, know what good lighting is, know what this, know what that, or is that just from busking and performing and just thinking about the internet and being...
That's just being like a tech kid. When you grow up around tech, you just have a basic understanding of everything. So it was kind of just... me learning about viral video was because I was thrust into one. So I learned I was basically
you found yourself.
It's like happening.
It's like noticing you're like stuck in a movie or something. Oh, I have to react right now.
And the thing is, if I had it now, I could plan it out a lot, and I could have more views. I could have more TV appearances. I could have been on Ellen, etc. But when I first learned how to do it, it was just like, imagine the craziest. I was working, what was it? I think 18 or 19 hour days for a couple weeks. Wow. Where it was kind of like, No, no. After once the video went viral,
Wow.
Right.
like just working, trying to keep up with the phone call, because once I went when it went viral, like we're talking from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m, dozens and dozens and dozens of emails, hundreds, and phone calls, dozens a day, where I'm just trying to do interviews. It was like basically an interview every couple minutes, trying to set stuff up.
Wow, that must have been hectic, but you got the hang of it.
Yeah, and obviously once after the viral video, there's only so much lifespan, so things have slowed down to a very manageable pace now.
Yeah, but you learned how to deal with the fame pretty quickly.
It is fleeting. Like the thing is, it's not like viral videos are definitely like you're in the spotlight you have 2 good weeks, and then they'll remember the video, but it's not in the news anymore. It's past. It's something that did happen, not happening.
Yeah, but you'll often like thrust yourself into a community. Like you thrusted yourself into. I mean, like now talking about some of the other stuff, but like into the Magic community, like massively, right? Like what a way to step in the door, kicking it right open with.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's funny, like being a magician. You always look up. When I was younger, you look up to all these magicians who release products and these big names. You're like, wow, how do you ever get to that point? And I mean, I don't really consider myself at that point. I guess some kids would say, "Oh, you're a big magician or whatnot." I'm just a guy that likes what I do,
Listen, you're producing original content, and it's very well thought out, and it's being released. So you're one of those guys in my book, like
yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then about the viral video, and the best part about it was it just led to other things. So it's that one video led to like the Steve Harvey show, Good Morning America.
Yeah, that's a great one.
You rush it today, and it kind of and then Penn and Teller Fools. I think they found me because of all the publicity beforehand.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And Cube 3. So you said you did it before you did the cop video. So that was. You had set up you recorded it, or you...
So I did that with Murphy's Magic. So they flew me out to Sacramento, we recorded it, filmed everything, and then they just edited it away for a couple months.
And that was all completely before the cop incident?
Yes.
Wow.
And what caused it to get delayed? Was it just production issues, or were you actively thinking, like, okay, this cop video is blowing up, I should wait until I have a large following?
What happened was... I think it was just, the fact that you're editing, it's a lot, like some magic tricks, like let's say you do a bill vanishes and goes here. It's very simple. You make the bill vanish, it's there, you teach all the steps. With this, like you're teaching them how to solve a cube, you're teaching all this. They have to edit that together. There's even a couple mistakes on the DVD where there's a wrong turn and just one tiny annotation that's messed up.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially because, and one of the things that like we both resonate with you because we both cube, is that like it just becomes rote memory, becomes muscle memory.
Yeah, like I don't know the algorithms like lettering in my head. I can just do it with my hands.
So here's the funny part: I had to relearn how to solve the basic method. I had to figure out what basic method I wanted to teach.
What method do you actually use?
I just use it. It's almost the same as that. It's just learning more algorithms, so you cut down the move count.
Right, you just use like some advanced Friedrich or whatever.
Yeah, CFOP, just normal Friedrich. Yeah.
Cool.
But
awesome.
so we filmed it, and then it was delayed, and then the cop stuff started happening. It's like, oh wow, we're going to sell a lot of these, and then we were going to release it. Then all of a sudden, someone's like, "Hey," the guy emails me, "Do you want to do Fool Us?" And I was like, "Yes, that's my favorite show. Of course, I want to do Fool Us."
Absolutely.
So the moment that I found out I was going to do Fool Us, I called Murphy's and I was like, "Hey, let's delay it. I might fool him."
Does this sort of branding bother you in a way? I think like you sort of become the Rubik's Cube guy, right? Like you fooled Penn and Teller with Rubik's Cubes, you got out of your ticket with a Rubik's Cube, you're selling Rubik's Cubes, and those are the things you're most known for. Like, did you do a lot of other magic before? Like, I've only ever seen you perform one card trick in my life, right? So,
but I saw your busking video. I mean, there was ropes, and it was...
Yeah, and even in the card trick I saw you do, it had a Rubik's Cube in it. So.
Right? Yeah. Yes and no. So, like, you can't hate it just for what it's helped me achieve. So, like, you have to, like, say, like...
Yeah, what are you going to be, angry? Oh, darn.
Yeah. I mean, like, if I was doing card tricks, I probably wouldn't have the notability in the Magic community. If I released one card trick DVD, they're not going to be like, oh, praise Steven for the best card trick ever. Because, that you can't do that.
Yeah.
So I like that. I dislike whenever it's like when people are like, so what do you do besides Rubik's Cube? Like before Rubik's Cube, I did like 10 years of just sleight of hand with cards. So I love putting cards under drinks. I love
that's so funny because people that do cards like always get the question, what else do you do other than cards? So you probably were like, you know what, enough, I'm gonna start doing Rubik's Cubes. Then you start solving Rubik's Cubes and people are like, is this all you do, Rubik's Cube magic?
And it's like I loaded cards in people's pockets. I was ditching. I mean, I was doing bar magic for like 3 hours last night, and I didn't even have a Rubik's Cube for 3 hours straight. So I definitely do a lot of other stuff, but it's what I'm known for. So I do it when people ask. Like a puppet.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know. It's good to know that, like, I mean, we knew, but it's good to know that you are more well-rounded or that you feel that you're more well-rounded than your internet, like.
Well, here's the so when is this going to air, this podcast?
On the 30th
of April.
Yeah.
Jeez. So I legally can't tell you. This is gonna.
We can edit it out. We can blurt out the thing that you tell us and just put on a funny song right after you say.
No, I want to give. I want to give something.
Say, we can't tell you.
I want to give something, but I did sign a 67-page contract saying that I can't give something, so I won't tell the name of the show. But I actually just filmed for another national TV show, which is one of the biggest national TV shows in America. Like 10 million viewers, and I did Rubik's Cube magic again. So, and it's at this point where I'm just gonna if I can do the same tricks that I did on every national TV show and do them again, I don't want to have to create something new.
You're gonna be like, you know what? Can I do a card trick? I know you. Can I do? Never mind the Rubik's Cube. Can I do a card trick?
Well, I did Rubik's Cube stuff for the first round. Second round, I guess you could guess the show right now. Just don't say it. Most people, could probably figure it out. And then the second round, I'm doing Rubik's Cube and a card trick. The third round, I think I might switch it up. I either might like dangle from a giant jaws of death, solving Rubik's Cube blindfolded.
Oh my!
And once I solve it, I drop down the jaws of death clamped tight. And the idea is I have to place the solved Rubik's Cube in like this reader that lets my feet go. So I can't get out of the trap unless I solve the Rubik's Cube one-handed blindfolded upside down, put it in the thing, then it lets me go and it clamps tight.
Have you ever done stunts before?
No, I haven't. But cool. I have to pitch them something.
Crazy.
Or I might do a book test. So I'll let you
know. Amazing. Well, you know my rule: safety first. So Well, really though, if you want us to take any of that out, if you were too obvious about the show,
no, I don't care.
Perfect. Cool. Never mind the contract.
I don't think that people will be listening. Not that it won't be the best podcast in the world.
People that were worried about the contract are not going to be tuning in.
But
if you are, please keep this a secret.
Right. Well, one of the funny things though is a lot of the TV shows that I've done, I've pitched stuff that I couldn't do.
Like
what?
You couldn't do in terms of have not set up or
you haven't
not
done
have a
yet.
method for
Didn't have a method, never tried before.
Amazing.
For Fool Us, they said, can you match Teller's Rubik's Cube? And I actually didn't have a method to do it. That I could do on TV. I have a method that I do live, but I didn't have the performance right to do it. So I had to say, yes, I could do it in Teller's hand. And I just lied to them and I came up with a method to do it. And then also the millisecond solve, I learned that like the day before I went on Fool Us.
Wow. Wow.
So as far as with the Jaws of Death, I've never done it, but if they say yes to it, I'll rent a Jaws of Death. I'll learn how to do it, I gotta get a 6-pack by this summer though.
That is absolutely crazy. That's crazy that you are signing yourself up to do things that you have never done, and you don't even know what the methods are, and it all comes out in the end.
That's an amazing way to try to grow yourself as a performer. Is literally make claims.
Just put on your website, I can do anything.
Yeah, real magic will happen.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, people work best under pressure. We're procrastinators, know, you said,
exactly.
and unless you have a deadline or something that you have to achieve, you're not going to do anything.
Mm-hmm. So if you have to learn how to get out of clamps of death, you might figure out how to do it.
All right. If you tell them I'll do it on TV, it's like, I better get to that.
Make sure that happens.
Yeah, I'll do it. Oh my goodness! Wow, that's crazy.
So the Jaws of Death or book test? What do you think? I really like the book test. I might. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. See what do your parents think?
They're happy for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Do they know about the Jaws of Death though?
I don't know. I haven't even thought. I mean, I say that I'm gonna do it, but I haven't really put any thought into actually doing it yet. You know, when I will pitch them, I'll have to think about it.
Yeah.
You know,
you'll get a little more info before you sign yourself up to be in a Jaws of Death.
yeah. But I mean, my parents are always supportive of everything. You know, I think that's one huge help in life when your parents are always like behind you, regardless of what you did. You know, they're always trying to support you.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
important.
Especially going into something like magic, which is ultimately the hokiest sounding of all of the art forms for someone to tell their parents that they're going to go do. You know, it's one thing to be like, I'm going to become a musician. Another thing, I am going to do magic. Like, it sounds made up, you know?
Right.
So,
Like,
Personally, I feel like it's one of the easier avenues of art to make a living in because it's such a specialized skill,
yeah.
right?
If you're good at it, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We were talking about this. Like, you can be a great musician, and you are compared to every other musician. But if you do magic and you're good enough to like be likable and do something that's impossible, then you're not compared against anyone else because you're just doing impossible things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And also because people have
Never see magicians. They see
people have
TV
seen
magicians
like
on up
two
close.
magicians in their life.
Yeah.
You know, so you're automatically the best magician that anyone has ever seen. So, but obviously, yeah, it definitely helps to be good. That's,
And then, like the first year when I was still trying to make it, I lived with my dad. So some months I paid him rent, but there was a couple months where I didn't have any money from rent. This is like right after December events, and it's like February. There's no events, and it's like, well, you have no money, Dad. I'm sorry. I'll pay you back later. So that was like a nice to be able to have a place to live and not be homeless when you're doing it.
Yeah, that's definitely helpful.
Yeah. Going a little bit broader with the questioning, what do you think the internet is doing to magic more as a whole? Like, is it growing the art by spreading the media, or is it sort of killing it by removing the secrecy in terms of like YouTube reveals and things like that? Like, as magic being online and having such a larger presence in the world now, like, how do you feel that's affecting what we do?
Well, I think magic first and foremost is like it's a performance art for people, and obviously with the internet, it connects everyone, and I think it's a great way to gain exposure. It's a great way to show your peers what you're doing. There's like a million positive benefits, and I think the positive benefits are way outweigh any slight negative. A guy learns a card trick, and he says, "Oh, you did that during the trick. Great, that's it's not the end of the
what a
world.
double lift is. Hooray!"
But that negative is so small compared to all the benefits. I mean, I think just the connection, the fact that you could go on Facebook and find a magician that I've looked up to for 20 years, and I can message him, and there's a chance he'll message back. If that guy's me, I probably won't message back since I'm horrible at it.
You're here, so
you know firsthand how bad it is.
You are here,
you message me, and I'm just like 3 dadays later, like, "Hey, Steve, you got that?" And I was like, "Sorry."
That's okay. Well, we got you here, so
Right.
that's all that counts.
But-
So I definitely agree about the internet in the sense that it's just opening it up. And back to that David Blaine thing earlier, like in the same light where you could watch David Blaine and say, "Oh my goodness, I need to like go start learning some magic," and then go to your local magic store, you can actually see you on YouTube on the Steve Harvey show or something and go, "This is the coolest thing ever." Type in Steve Brundage Rubik's Cube, and in less than 5 minutes be expecting a Rubik's Cube with instructions in the mail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So really bridging that gap that we had to go through when we would, be inspired by something that we saw. But I'm definitely in magic in terms of like other magicians because I saw David Copperfield. I was watching his VHS tapes over and over again, and that's what did it for me. So definitely the benefit is that people new to magic, or one of the benefits is that people new to magic can actually find things right from their source.
Right.
And
think about Vernon trying to learn the center deal. Like, he had to track someone down
Right.
across the country.
yeah,
And,
he traveled.
Yeah.
We don't even
Yeah,
have to.
I think
To find a ghost,
I think with anyone wanting to learn, if anyone likes it enough and they want to learn, I think it should be open to them because it's such a fun thing to do. And it's like the thing is like if they want to learn the nuances and how to be really good, they have to put effort in. You can't be good after a year or even
100%.
5 years. I mean, you can be decent, you can be very, very good, but to learn all the it's the small differences and just so much is just years and years of just doing it and repetition and just trying new things. So if anyone wants to be good at it, they have to put in the time. But I think if someone wants to learn a card trick, let them learn a card trick. It doesn't affect
I'm
my
with you
career.
100%. Like, I think the secrecy barrier in magic, mostly between magicians and non-magicians, is through effort.
Yeah.
Like, aside from someone just saying, like, I'm not going to tell you how this trick works, if they ask, other than that, like, you can have access to magic, especially nowadays, with only just some effort, like...
And most people won't want to see the cube trick. They'll be like, oh, I want to learn how to do it. But they don't want to buy it and learn it, and then they have to spend 20 hours practicing it just to learn
how
the
to
moves.
solve a Rubik's Cube first.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's, but I think it's... I don't think it's harmed. I think there's some negatives, but one thing that I find negative, someone actually did my routine, my Penn and Teller routine on Denmark's Got Talent, and they actually won. Yeah,
what?
they
Wow.
won. Yeah, you go search for it. Denmark's Got Talent, Rubik's Cube, something. But he won using my routine, the semifinals.
That's absolutely crazy.
So, and it was kind of a thing like, let's say if there was no internet and I was just doing my magic all over, no one would be able to steal it because no one would ever see it. But then I'm not doing anything either, So
Well, this happens often. Like, I've heard a couple of stories of this sort of thing happen, of people's routines being stolen, like, verbatim.
Mm-hmm. And I don't mean someone just doing some stuff off Cube 3. He did stuff that I didn't teach. That was just like the matching cube that I came up with for the show.
Yeah.
He just did it exactly how he did it, and it's like, what? So,
wow, that must have thrown you off a little bit. Did you get in contact with him or not at all?
So I actually found he messaged me like when Foolish came out originally. He was like, can I do your routine? And I was like, yeah, you could do it. Just if you record anything, let me know first before you post it. Don't do it to the masses or whatever. And then he does it on national
and then
TV.
He was like, let me just do it to the masses first.
And he didn't. And if he asked me permission, I might have said sure, but I just don't. He's not a magician though. He's a cuber.
Wow.
But it's what Denmark's Got Talent doesn't have a ton of viewers, so I'm not like crying over it.
Yeah,
if you had like 50 million hits, I'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
your Denmark market is just gone.
Yeah.
Like, you're not touring.
How are you going to get a gig in Denmark now?
Oh no.
Yeah. So there was a moment where you realized you were sitting on a gold mine of this video. And then you said, I know that this is viral. Did you submit it to a bunch of different places, or did you just put it on the internet and lay back in your chair? Or did you, like, call a bunch of friends and say, hey, like, start spreading the word, this is a great video?
So this is... Do you guys go to Reddit at all?
Absolutely.
Okay. So if you don't know what Reddit is, if you're listening to this, it's called the front page of the internet. People just post links, pictures, they can post anything they want, and people see it, and it's like user-based... user-voted content. So people decide what's good on it. But I'll get to that in a quick second about Reddit. But the moment I had the video, I knew it would go viral. And I was at my friend's house the next day, and it's like, this is my ticket to Ellen. This is the golden ticket. And I knew, like, if I was ever going to get an Ellen, it was this video.
This would be it.
So I posted it to Facebook at first to do, like, a little trial run to see how it did. And on my own personal Facebook, it got, like, 300 likes. 10,000 views and something shared. So if that's my personal page getting, hundreds of shares and thousands of views, that's good because I don't have thousands of friends, so there's some viralness to it. And then I posted it to YouTube. Within the first day, it had 30,000. It was ripped by, like, World Star Hip Hop.
Wow.
And that had 500,000 views. Once the World Star had 500,000 views, I was like, yes, my video can go viral if they share mine instead of World Star.
I was right.
Right? So it went viral on World Star. Another Facebook, the Unilad ripped it. It had 3 million views on their Facebook. And then finally, the Daily News called me, and they're like, hey, we want to do the story. So they interviewed me. And then I think what really helped it go viral was the fact that, as a news story, is the fact that the Daily News interviewed the chief of police.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so instead of it just being magician, is this real, is it fake? There's the chief of police saying, yeah, we stopped and etc. This all happened, it's real. He was really speeding, etc. From the Daily News, then it was picked up by BuzzFeed and whatnot, and then Good Morning America called me and they're like, hey, do you want to come down to New York and do the show? I'm like, yeah, And
at this point, you had to buy a new cell phone because they were all calling you. You needed to
it kind of just
phones at once.
So it started taking a life on its own.
Wow.
Where I kind of just stepped back and let everyone start sharing. Obviously, I had to be there for the interviews. I had to respond to dozens of messages. I had to, be there for people to, use the story.
But other than that, it's just checking on statistics and smiling and telling your friends and family.
Yeah, when I call my best friend, it's like, hey, I'm doing the biggest morning show in America. Guess which one? It could be today or that. But I got a call from Ellen's show, and I couldn't do it just because I said yes to Good Morning America. No, it's not horrible. So what happened is I said yes to Good Morning America, and that has about 5 million viewers, and Ellen has 5. And then Steve Harvey said I could do Good Morning America and Steve Harvey a month later. Nice. Where Ellen said I had to only do Ellen. Okay. So I chose 2 over 1.
Yeah,
so it's not. It's
makes sense.
Ellen. I mean, it might have been different, but I don't regret the decision I made. It means I made it, so I can't change it.
I think it's hilarious that Ellen has become like the benchmark
for magicians.
Like we all want to get on the one lady who loves magic. If she has us on.
The only magician on Steve Harvey, though.
Yeah, really.
And one thing with Ellen though is the process is so much more. Like Steve Harvey called me in Good Morning America. They were like, "We want you on our show." But Ellen was like, "What tricks are you going to do?" And I pitched them. They're like, "What other tricks you got?" So and they did that.
They weren't
with everyone.
thinking Jaws of Death at that point.
No, like they did that to Justin Willman, to Justin Flom.
Yeah.
They asked them. They like the person, but they've seen so many tricks. They have to have a new trick or something new, or something that they think is new at least.
Right.
Rubik's Cube Magic is pretty new.
I tried to pitch them, but they were like, "What else can you do?" And at that point, I was like, "I'm going to go with the people who want." I mean, Good Morning America said, "What do you want to do?" And they were like, I didn't even show them before I even got to the studio, so I could have done whatever I want.
You could have not been able to solve a cube or anything. You could have just been like, "I don't know what to do with this thing." Like,
and I based, and I just did whatever trick I wanted. And that kind of freedom was just like, that's awesome,
Yeah. So before the video went, before you started. Having a real face on the internet, you were busking.
Yeah, I was. I did corporate magic too, but I started street performing 4 years ago, and that's how I started making money doing magic.
And also, that's probably, I mean, you'll tell me, but that's probably one of the best ways where you learned how to work with an audience and how to handle an audience. Busking is more hours of magic than most corporate magic stuff, because that's you're hired for an hour or two at a high rate, versus busking, you're working already. All day in the sun with new people and new everything.
Trying to build a crowd, things like
that. So busking and magic are two separate things. You could be a horrible magician and a great busker. You could be a great busker and a bad magician. They're not. Good magician doesn't mean good busker, which is kind of interesting. But as far as doing magic, the fact that you could do, if you really wanted to work at 15 shows in a night. That one show gets really good, so it's an area where if you want to work on routines and really refine them, and also just people, the fact that you have to work a crowd while you want to do your show, but you're also trying to build your crowd, and you're trying to get money. You have to convince people to stop, convince them to watch your entire 20-minute show, and convince them to give you all the money in their pocket if they can.
And I watched your busking bit, and you've gotten very good at it. You can tell the moments that hit, and it's that kind of practice. Would you recommend busking for a magician who's trying to get more into magic, or is that just a stepping stone that you went on and maybe you don't think it's that?
I think it's amazing. I know buskers can make fantastic livings, and the reason that I started doing magic full time is because I was able to actually start paying. When you first start doing magic shows, you don't know what to charge. Busking, I mean, numbers are always different.
They tell you what you're worth.
Yeah, because you go and let's say you make $10 the entire day, you're like, wow, I need to get better
what
or something
was I
working.
Yeah.
You go and you do pull in 800. I know magicians have done thousands in a day, but that's they do bigger shows. But if you made $1,000 street performing, that's amazing. Sure, depending where you are in the corporate market for magicians, some magicians charge 500, some charge 1,000, some charge 5,000, some charge 20,000. But if you made $1,000 busking and $1,000 doing a corporate show, the $1,000 busking for me is so much more value. Just the fact that you had to collect every single one of those dollars, you earned that money.
Exactly.
And that
also
that
with the
something.
Corporate show, you only really have to convince one person to pay you.
Yeah,
with the busking show, you have to convince each person that paid you to pay you. So, you realize what quality you need to deliver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I even nowadays, the thing is, I actually moved to the hometown where I busk, just because it's a really nice atmosphere, good downtown. And I still plan to be busking. Like, a lot of my clients are like, are you still going to be street performing? And it's like, I mean, maybe it's not the image that I want when I'm charging a lot to clients. You're like, oh, I'm on the street now. But for me, it's just a way to connect with people. The fact that I could go now the money's not even important to me anymore. It's just the fact of having fun and connecting with people.
And definitely like doing magic, like street performing and stuff like that, and just doing magic for like, you know, people, convincing them to come watch magic, and then showing them good content, you know, is like it's a whole different ballgame than, you know, doing magic for your friend and having them go like, oh, you know, like that was really nice, you know, like so you really get to learn quick what's what. I'm wondering what someone can do to sort of leverage themselves on the internet. Would you just say keep yourself always prepared with your phone ready to record? Would you say, you know, capture everything and something's good, or something completely different? And how does someone get noticed or found?
I think it's a little bit of everything. Like there's a quote that says like at one point like everyone's gonna have a viral video, and it seems that way because like when it was first there was a couple videos here and there, but now like you look at magicians, you have like Tom Elderfield he had a Dove video of him in the shower that went kind of viral. You know, it's just like silly things like that. You have Kayla Morelli's, and I think more and more with the internet nowadays is anything. I mean, social media. I'm horrible at social media purposefully. I just don't want to do it. You know, but the fact is, you could look at Rick Lax. He built the brand. Like, regardless of what you think of him, whether you hate him or love him, you have to give him respect for the amount of hours he put in and what he achieved. To have 1 million likes, you know, on Facebook,
and he knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
you know, like
he knows the magic that he's making is for lay people who just want a quick little, you know, bit of magic.
And I don't know what 1 million likes on Facebook does, but it has to do something. You know,
oh man,
yeah.
But it's so I mean, it's just everything. It's a fact of, you know, being ready with your phone if you have to record. Take moments, take opportunities, learn as much as you can about this world, and then any time you see something that you want, to do it. And it doesn't have to be viral. It could be through hard work and meeting people. You know, one interesting thing is after the video went viral, like I tripled my rates for most things, and like a client was like, "Oh, can you do an event down in Atlanta, Georgia?" And I quoted them the higher rate, and they're like, "Sure." And I didn't realize till afterwards when I was talking to them that they never saw any of the viral videos. You know, like I assume when a client sees me, they're like, "Oh, they probably see my video, so they know that I charge a lot or whatever." But she didn't, and she booked me for the higher rate, and I was kind of like, "Huh." You know, so it doesn't have to be viral. It could just be, you know, me doing good magic and someone appreciating that.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's also like sort of an in-person sort of virality. You know, like people can be talking about you. You can be like well known and without being online. You know. Yeah,
like the craziest thing was I was the last 3 nights I stayed up to 5 a.m. at the bar doing magic, trying to talk to girls. And I made some really fun friends of these guys who were like freak owners of these bars who were like, oh, magic guy, oh, this is amazing, yeah. And they're like, every night when I came in, they're flipping out, they're bringing their friends in, they're going nuts, you know. And then one guy comes over and he's like, yo, you know, the owner of the bar, and he's like, you know, next Friday I'll pay you $100 to do magic here. You know,
what a hilarious way to get a gig, you know, like,
right?
Like
do magic
just
for free.
Exactly where you're standing right now. Come back next week, and I'll give you money for it.
But $100, and obviously, if I was charging a client, I wouldn't charge $100.
Yeah.
You know, so I kind of like, and at that point, it's like, so they've never seen my viral videos, so they don't know anything about it, which is just kind of. But and then you do restaurants, you build a corporate where there's colleges. You could go to the college market, and you don't have to be on national TV to do a crap ton of shows. Mm-hmm. Right. If anything, I would say this is something that I tell some people this. I think the viral magic has hurt me in a way, but not really, and I'll explain that. Where like some magicians, they have to do 10,000 shows before they get into the spotlight. And with me, I was doing magic full time for about a year, you know, busking for a little bit, and then all of a sudden, clients are paying me a lot of money to do shows, and I'm kind of like, oh, so I don't have that working experience that some other people have, you know, that have done a million corporate
That's crazy
shows.
that you feel that you were thrusted into this You know what I mean? Like thrusted faster
You're
than
like
you
the,
think you should
the
have
child
been.
genius, like the 14-year-old sitting in third year university. Like, who am I here?
Right. So, and now it's just me. I mean, and I need to put more work in my show and get better. And I want to do a lot more stage shows. And it's just the fact that they are tough to do. To play a giant room of people paying to see you. That's it. Doesn't. I mean, I wouldn't say scare me, but I mean, everyone gets some nerves sometimes.
Yeah, it's intimidating.
Sure.
There's a lot to it. It's not. There's a lot of
One the
moving
best
parts.
Performing, I think, is that feeling, that nervousness. What was it like performing for a room full of magicians at the Bash? I've never done that.
I mean, so I changed everything because when I go for magicians in front of magicians, I take it all my jokes. You know, like it's a very I just do the stuff that they're going to be like scratching their head, and it's like, wow, he's really skilled. You know, if they could say that, cool. I don't want to make them laugh, but yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. It's not, you know, I wouldn't say what's crazy is I never get nerves on TV or in front of big crowds like that. But I was doing strolling magic the other day at a bar mitzvah, and my hand started to shake, and that's the first time I've shaken in years. It was like the weirdest feeling in the world.
Do you have any idea why, or it's just something that came through?
I was a little sweaty. I don't know. They just started shaking.
Yeah, no, I know the feeling. You know what happens sometimes if my hand starts shaking, and it's because it usually happens in a very tense moment. I'll usually tell them, I'll say like, look, like even my hand, like this is so tense for me. Like even my hand is shaking.
Right? Yeah.
So that's a very fun idea. Was there something else that you wanted to say?
Yeah, I'll jump on two things that I wanted to mention. Then if you have more questions, feel free. I mean, I have a ton of crap to do, but don't worry. I like avoiding it.
More morning shows calling.
The taxes. I'm filing for extension. But so one really cool thing about the Penn and Teller, about things going viral. So when I posted the Penn and Teller video, it grew to about maybe 20,000 views or 30,000 views, and then it stopped. And I actually forced the video to go viral, believe it or not.
Ah, interesting. Okay, so how did that happen?
So with Reddit, it's basically you submit links, and so basically, like if you post a video on Reddit, you know you can have 1 million people view it if they like the content. So basically, I self-posted it. You're supposed to post other people's content, but I posted my own content saying, you know, Penn and Teller magician fools them with Rubik's cubes,
and also like you didn't post something with 0 views, you know, so. When people clicked through to it, it already had something, so people were happy to.
Yeah, and then it started being shared, and it got a couple million hits through there. And then I did this other thing. It's called an Ask Me Anything on Reddit.
Yeah,
where you have and celebrities do it, but I did one before with the cop video, and I had 1,400 upvotes. So with this one, I was like, I'm the guy who fooled Penn and Teller, and I did it, and that had about 500,000 views.
Wow!
And it was just doing it, and then that added to the more videos to Penn and Teller Fool Us. So
and you went to the front page of Reddit, or to like a magic page or something?
No, I went I went to our videos, and I went to the IMA page, and I just posted it. And that's just me understanding, because I'm a huge Redditor, so I understand how the game this. And some people are like, "How did you like, who's your publicist to have you do this Reddit and AMA?" And I was like, no, I just
but you know what? But that almost answers my question from earlier as to how you knew how to position your video. Like, you're a Redditor, so you know about, like, top content, you know? Like, stuff that makes it to the front page. If you see that enough, you know what sort of titles, videos, what sort of things, like, make people want to share it and like it.
What content you've produced that, like, you know what is going to be worth it for people to watch and what has the potential, so you know what to put the effort into to making it big.
Yeah, and it's like that. I mean, the thing is, you can't know always. Some stuff goes viral, and like, what is happening? You know.
Yeah,
but a lot of times.
Is there anything that you've seen that you just like were totally surprised by? You're like, wow, this is a magic video that people are loving. Like what's going on here?
I mean, not really. I was going to joke and say Rick Lax, but no. I mean, it's definitely interesting. I mean, one thing actually that I did before the Penn and Teller video was I have a giant to-do list of like things to do, and it was all like it was getting a pressure, because now that I knew how the how do you spell it? The
virality?
Yes, is that a word?
Yep.
Okay. Once I knew how that all worked, I got a press release ready. I was ready to post it. You know, I sent it to all my local media stuff. So then I did like a little press tour when I went on the radio. I did local news, newspapers, etc.
So there was some like real proactivity to
the second, with the Fool Us video. That I really spun, and then even with the next season of this TV show coming up, I'm prepared. Like before that show airs, I'm going to be on all my local radio news
and everything really ready.
Yeah, and then once that video is, I'm going to post it on my Facebook, my YouTube and Facebook, and gain thousands of followers. And I'm just going to use it for what I can.
Yeah. Well, so now you have like a little bit more to leverage.
Yeah. But now I can reach out to my old clients or like my old people who had me on the news stations, like, hey, I'm going to be on this show, and they want to be a part of that since
for sure.
But yeah, so I think so you can predict it somewhat, but it is random. But I think more than trying to get a viral video, it's just hard work and staying persistent. Even me, like I had days where I was like, even after the cop video, where I'm like, what am I gonna? You're not sure what you're gonna do. Even now, yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I didn't really put two and two together until like this moment. But you're saying that you feel that you didn't put in enough of the hours to be where you be, to be where you are. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like you have, because busking is, a different and more a harder way of putting in hours. So your full days of magic were different than someone's 2-hour.
That is true. I mean, I have done 12 hours of busking. I've worked my ass off trying to do it. But I mean, just the fact that the life that I'm living for the amount of work that I do now is almost laughable. Like, it's very, very silly. However,
the goal, right?
It's like I relax all day, and people are like, it must be crazy busy. And I could be busier doing more shows, but I'm very like, I don't want to say snob. I don't know what the right word is, because I really love my free time, and it's so valuable to me. And the fact that if someone tries to pay under my rate, a lot of times I'll just be like, I'd rather sit and just do nothing.
No thanks.
And that's one thing that I want to do. I want to not lower my rate, but do lesser paying shows and just do more shows.
Just for performance.
Yeah, try to bump up the audience.
So me and my friend we're self-producing a show this summer where we're going to do 2 shows a week or something like that, where I just get shows, and if I don't make money off of it, if I make even $1,000 per show or whatever it is, 500 or even
it's
2,000,
nice.
It'll be something and I think that'll be fun.
Cool. Was there another last thing that you wanted to share?
There's so much. I could talk for Magic about for hours and hours. I mean, if you had any more questions, I'll answer any. I can take a last bit of advice or something that I think. Or any closing thoughts from you guys?
I don't know. So I'll say before the last thing, which is we'll ask you for some advice for someone trying to, get themselves more viral. And for us, even like we're starting out this podcast, and we are trying to get into the Magic community, so we're trying to bring in, we're trying to get awesome people to be on and talking about awesome things and producing awesome content, the same way that going on Fool Us is awesome, in the same way that going on having that cop video is really great and really new. So we are really resonating with this message in the sense of learning virality for ourselves in this, as well as in our Magic. So that's just one thing that I've been thinking about through this whole thing. It's been very interesting and very helpful. And my only last thoughts on virality is almost what you said, which is one of the things that I'm doing now is I'm just recording every single one of my shows. Like, I'm doing a lot of stand-up shows, and crazy things happen. I've had hilarious things happen on stage, and you've inspired me with what you said, that I just might capture one of those moments. And it's that, it's the putting in the consistency and the hours that's gonna make it so that when I pop my head up online, it's something awesome, because it takes however many hours for that great thing to happen. Like how many times did you have your phone on you and you solved the Rubik's Cube for a stranger and it wasn't a very good video?
Yeah.
So that's one thing for me. Tyler, what about you?
I'm sort of in the same boat, where I was just really blown away with how, like, when we first came into this interview, I was thinking, like, there'll be some pretty basic pointers on, like, make sure your video looks good, get good sound levels, things like that. But this was very much so, like, a how to be a presence online. It wasn't just how to produce good content. It was how to make your content known, which I think is super interesting. And I think that there's something to be sort of looked at as a new side of magic. Of like, I make magic for online. Right? Those magicians exist now, so I think this will be super helpful for them.
It doesn't have to be a viral video. It could be through gaining subscribers, getting a following, and produce. I think the most important thing, every video creator will tell you this: it's story. It's not the type of camera you have. The cop video was shot with a cell phone view and vertical video. You know, that had zero to
vertical video. Yeah, there's people at home that are like cringing for vertical.
Right. It was all just the story. And with any type of magic, it's just finding, like, you look at some of these Instagram magicians, their story is elegant, you know, magic to a nice camera, and that's the story. But it works when you see it. You're drawn to it. So I think I don't post enough on social media to be a social media expert. I know how it works, and I know I could have more of a following. But me, I've been more of the lazy. When I have a moment, I know what to do with it. Rather,
but you know what? That understanding, like, you're from the school of Reddit, and I'm sure that, and I can, that makes a difference, and I think it shows.
But and I think it's about really just putting in. I mean, if you want to be a full-time magician, get ready to work. Because I know this one kid at the Browsers Bash, he had anxiety. And he wants to be a full-time magician. And some guy was like, oh, he's never going to be able to do it with anxiety. And it's like, yes and no. Like, you don't have to be this loud character, but you have to overcome your fears and really push hard.
I mean, I think most performers still have some sort of anxiety. I don't think anyone's gotten into magic and been totally confident from the get-go, right? So you can overcome it, but you can also let yourself have a character of, like... An anxious person.
I use my nerves when I'm going on stage to push me to be louder with my body language, and it's just one way that I've used to channel it. So anything to do with like nerves, but exactly like getting out there. Any last piece of advice for any magicians at home, either wanting to learn more about the art, wanting to get themselves out there more, or wanting to have a little bit more of a presence on the internet?
Yeah, I would say,
Those are a lot of categories. You can just take one.
Right, that's a lot.
You can say it in 4 words. Answer the question in 4 exact words.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it is just learning the craft, and as far as making a living, it's very, very doable. Like, I mean, every area is different. So I know some area where people could charge $150 per show. One great advice is charge a lot more than what you think you're worth. So, I mean, I have no idea what people charge in Canada, or even other people. Let's say they charge.
They give you one ice block for your igloo and a little bit of polar bear food.
Right? Yeah. Does the polar bear come with that, or no? Just this?
No. It's for your own polar bear.
It's for the polar bear that comes to your house.
Yeah.
So, like in America, if you're charging $500, quote them 1,000 and see what happens. And I think it's always. I mean, if you're doing kid shows, don't do that. But let's say if you're doing some like basic corporate work, push it until you find out what your limit is. Because I know some people, they charge $300 when they could get thousands worth of gigs. So really push and then find, but don't do it too much where you lose gigs like me. Don't be stupid.
I read a really awesome article. I gotta find where it is. I'll post the link. And the article, and it says like you're supposed to guess the pattern, and it says 2, 4, and you have to keep guessing. And you guess through the article, and I'm sort of going to ruin it for anybody listening. But what happens is you realize that you can only guess the pattern once you get a no. Right? You don't know if it's doing only even numbers. You don't know if it's doing increasing even. You don't know. So one of the things that I learned from that is that you don't learn until you get the no,
Yeah.
So you don't really know what your highest rate is until someone says to you, whoa, what? That's what your high rate is? And, at that point, you can go, for you,
yeah, I'll take $1,000 off.
And that is the thing. You could always come back. I mean, it sometimes looks bad. If you go from 50,000 to 500, someone might look at you a little crazy. I've never done a jump that big, but I have done some pretty big where it's like, and the thing is, but here it's in my ballpark though. Because here's the thing: if I don't want to do that event, I could say no, and I say no all the time.
And especially if they're looking for somebody to solve Rubik's cubes, that no is of a heavier no if they're looking for someone to do card tricks.
But so I think it is. I mean, charge more. And if you want to be a full-time magician, really learn everything you can about everything. And I think a biggest pointer is personality. If you're not likable, people won't like you. if you're likable, I mean, it's just you connect with people. You know, you meet a magician that you find just annoying, you don't want to be around them.
Absolutely.
Same thing with performers. You want to be friends with all your clients. People who book you, they're going to hire their friends. Like Absolutely. Me meeting someone, I find out he owns a media company. I don't even know if he's good, but I want to hire him just to support the guy.
Yeah.
You know? So I think just have a good personality. Whether it's likable or maybe an asshole, whatever it is that works for you.
Whatever your personality is, just make sure that you are that.
Yeah. But make sure it's good, whatever it is.
Yeah, make sure people want to hire that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So thank you so much. This was very helpful, very good, and it'll be a very nice first episode. And so we are very happy to have you. It was an incredible podcast, and you'll be able to check it out on the 30th. Yeah. And maybe it'll go viral. Share it with your with all your friends.
I'll definitely share it around. You know, I'll definitely see what I could help out with.
Cool. Very cool. Awesome. Thank you so much, and we will see everyone on the next episode of Discourse in Magic.
Take care.
Thank you so much. We had an absolutely excellent time interviewing Steven Brundage and talking to him about his time on Penn and Teller Fool Us, his Rubik's Cube video, and his release of Cube 3, Reddit, and everything having to do with what he has been up to. If you liked this sort of content, please check out our website, discourseinmagic.com. We have our podcast there, we have a blog there, and we have a newsletter where we have months with unique themes and different contests and prizes for people that are on the newsletter and participating in those contests during the months. I know it's a mouthful, but that's because it's that exciting. If you want to chat with us, you can always reach us on Twitter at Magic Discourse. And you can send us an email if you have any questions, concerns, worries, thoughts, feelings at discourse@discourseinmagic.com. Thank you so much. And of course, if you like this sort of thing, go on iTunes, give us a 4 or 5 star rating. And if you didn't like this sort of thing, well, you know, iTunes isn't that important. So don't worry about it. And we will see the rest of you next time on episode 3 of Discourse in Magic.